Imagine this. You're at the final stretch of a long, exhausting marathon. You've come a long way, through sacrifices, joys, and countless obstacles. Now, you're at that critical point where every step matters. One wrong move could cost you everything. And just as you're pushing forward, someone steps into your path. A brother, a partner, a friend, maybe even a neighbor. They want something from you. But here's the thing. At this stage of your life, the last thing you need is to carry the weight of someone else's demands. You're not here to be anyone's emotional lifeguard. You don't need to sacrifice your peace for empty promises or guilt that wasn't yours to begin with. This is your life, not theirs. Carl Jung spoke about the necessity of setting boundaries. He emphasized that true personal growth and individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are, depends on our ability to protect ourselves from the demands of others. If we fail to set clear boundaries, we risk losing our sense of self, our inner peace, and the freedom to live authentically. The truth is, if you don't set boundaries, no one else will. And what's at stake here is not just your time or your energy. It's your happiness, your mental health, and your entire well-being. Let's be clear. There are people who will ask things from you that they shouldn't. Things that steal your time, your energy, your mental peace. And that's a direct hit to your happiness. This cannot be allowed. Have you ever felt like you're just an emotional ATM for others? Or even worse, like you're rowing a sinking boat while everyone else just stands by, watching? It's exhausting, right? It's not just about doing favors anymore. It's about losing yourself in the process. In these moments, we need to open our eyes and recognize the truth that others won't say aloud. No one should ever ask you to carry burdens that aren't yours. It may start small, a favor, a bit of help, an emergency. But soon enough, you find yourself trapped in a cycle you didn't even choose. What seemed like support slowly turns into being the pillar holding up everything. And once you're in that position, it's incredibly hard to break free. Think about it. When a rope is stretched too far, what happens? Eventually it snaps, and that rope is you. You are being used like a lifeline, and now they expect you to keep afloat a boat that should have sailed on its own long ago. But you're not a lifeline. You don't have to be. You've been giving, loving, sacrificing for so long. You've worked hard, raised others, supported friends and family. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, why am I still carrying this weight? You're not a bank, but people ask for money. You're not a babysitter, but somehow you end up looking after the grandkids as though it's your job. You're not a nurse, but you're expected to care for everyone without anyone asking how you feel. And when you finally say no, when you finally draw that line, what happens? Suddenly you're the villain. You're judged, criticized, made to feel guilty. But who's holding the people responsible who are putting you in this position in the first place? Carl Jung wrote extensively about the concept of boundaries, how they are necessary for emotional health and personal growth. Without boundaries, we risk being swallowed by the demands of others, losing our sense of self in the process. And that's exactly what happens when we say yes to everything, even things that aren't our responsibility. We lose our identity, our peace, and eventually our happiness. People will take advantage of your kindness, your sense of responsibility, because they see you as a resource, not a person. And that's painful. You've given your all, and in return, you get little or nothing. Just more demands, more blame, more expectations that you keep giving, with no thought for your well-being. But let me tell you something. That's not love. It's emotional abuse. You've been the umbrella everyone runs to when a storm hits. But once the rain stops, you're left standing there, soaked and forgotten. How many more times will you let yourself be used like that? The truth is, this is not love. It's manipulation. And if you continue down this path, you're only letting others rob you of the peace you've worked so hard to build. Jung also spoke about the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we neglect or deny in the name of meeting others' needs. When we keep sacrificing our own well-being for the sake of others, we allow these parts of ourselves to remain in the shadows, unacknowledged. But when you live only to meet others' demands, the shadow grows. You start to feel disconnected from your true self. You're no longer living for you, but for everyone else. And that's a dangerous place to be. As hard as it might be, you must learn to say no. Saying no is not selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. It's a way of telling yourself that you matter. You deserve to live with peace, with joy, with calm. But when you keep saying yes to everyone else's demands, you drain your emotional reserves. You stop seeing yourself as someone with needs and desires. Instead, you become a tool for others. Your energy is no longer yours. Your time is no longer yours. Your peace is no longer yours. Think about this. How many times have you lent money or offered your time to someone, only to find that it never truly came back to you? Lending money, offering support, it can all seem like a simple act of kindness, but often it becomes a bottomless pit. It's a trap that keeps you in a cycle of giving and giving without ever getting anything in return. And one day, when you need that support, when you need the money you lent out, it's gone. You might think, I can handle this. I can be the one who always gives. But eventually it's not sustainable. Your emotional well-being will start to crumble. And if you keep giving without receiving, you'll end up emotionally bankrupt. Life doesn't wait, and your peace is something that must be protected at all costs. When you give too much, you forget who you are. You lose sight of what you've worked for, what you've fought to achieve. Carl Jung would argue that this is a moment of crisis, when we fail to assert our boundaries and lose ourselves in the process. You're not just giving away money or time. You're giving away your identity. You're handing over pieces of yourself without realizing it. And when that happens, you can't get them back. You may think you're being noble, that you're being helpful, that you're doing what's right. But if it's draining you, if it's leaving you empty, then it's not helping, it's self-sabotage. And if you continue to say yes, you're making a choice to live in a way that sacrifices your own happiness for the sake of others. Life doesn't work that way. You can't pour from an empty cup. Jung's idea of individuation, the process of becoming whole, becoming yourself, requires that you reclaim what is yours. Your time, your energy, your peace of mind. These are sacred. You cannot be everything for everyone. You are not a lifeline for others who refuse to swim on their own. You are not a free resource to be used and discarded when convenient. You are a human being worthy of respect, dignity, and peace. This is your life, not anyone else's. And it's time to stop letting others dictate how you live it. Think about the times when someone asks you to step in and fix their problems, whether it's a family conflict, a financial issue, or just an emotional burden they don't want to carry themselves. How many times have you found yourself pulled into situations that weren't yours to deal with? At first, it might seem harmless, a small request, a chance to help, but soon it becomes a pattern. You're the one holding the weight, trying to solve problems that belong to others. Jung warned about the psychological cost of taking on others' burdens. He spoke about the importance of distinguishing between what is yours to carry and what belongs to someone else. When you take on too much, you begin to lose touch with your own sense of self. You become consumed by others' problems, and your own peace is sacrificed in the process. This is why it's so crucial to set clear boundaries. Saying no isn't about being cold or selfish. It's about recognizing that you have limits, and those limits must be respected. If someone asks you to step into their life and take on their struggles, you must ask yourself, is this mine to fix? And if the answer is no, then you have every right to say no. The truth is, you cannot save everyone. You cannot fix everything. If you keep trying, You will eventually lose yourself in the process. And that's a price you simply can't afford to pay. Let's talk about something even more personal. When someone asks you to change who you are, to alter your lifestyle or your habits, imagine this. Your children, your friends, or even a partner telling you that you need to loosen up, that your way of living is outdated, or that you're too old for certain things. They might ask you to stop listening to the music you love, change the way you dress, or act a way that fits their expectations of who you should be. But here's the thing, those habits, those preferences, the way you express yourself are part of who you are. They've been shaped by your experiences, your journey, and the wisdom you've gained over the years. To be asked to change them is like being told that who you become doesn't matter, that your identity no longer has value. Carl Jung believed that one of the key elements of psychological well-being was the ability to stay true to oneself, even in the face of pressure to conform. To be authentic is not a crime, it is a necessity. When you allow others to dictate who you should be or how you should live, you're giving away your essence. You're allowing others to rewrite your story for you. And once that happens, you may never get back what you lost in the process. Your life, your habits, your passions, these are your choices. No one has the right to ask you to change them just to make them more comfortable. And if someone does, it's not because they care about your well-being. It's because they want you to fit into their world, a world that might not even align with who you are anymore. When you start changing yourself just to meet the expectations of others, you risk losing the most valuable part of you, your authenticity. Jung would say that this is the essence of individuation, the process by which you become truly whole. The more you let others dictate your life, the further you move away from that wholeness. It's not just about doing things differently. It's about who you are at your core, and no one has the right to take that away from you. Think about it. How many times have you compromised yourself just to keep the peace? How many times have you said yes, even when deep down you knew that wasn't your path? By doing so, you've slowly been erasing the very things that make you unique. Your choices, your preferences, your way of seeing the world. They are all pieces of you that cannot be bargained away. Once they're gone, they might never come back. So, ask yourself, why should you have to change who you are just to please someone else? Why should you ever let go of the things that bring you joy just to fit into a mold that was never made for you? At this point in your life, you've earned the right to be who you are, to enjoy what makes you happy, to wear what you like, to listen to the music that speaks to your soul. And if someone asks you to change that, remember that it's not a request. It's an attempt to erase you. Your authenticity is the most precious thing you have. Don't trade it for anyone's approval. Don't let anyone make you feel that your way of living is wrong simply because it doesn't fit their idea of what is acceptable. You've lived a lifetime to get to where you are, and everything that defines you is worth celebrating, not changing. Now, let's talk about something even more personal. When someone asks you to put their feelings above your own, imagine your children, a close friend, or a family member saying, "Why can't you just do this for me? It would make me feel better." They make it sound so simple, so reasonable. But here's the catch. They're not just asking for a favor. They're asking you to sacrifice your own happiness, your peace of mind, just to ease their discomfort. Jung often spoke about the importance of self-respect and the need to prioritize your own well-being. When we constantly put others' feelings before our own, we lose sight of who we are. We become entangled in their emotional needs and forget to nurture our own. This is a danger of continually trying to please others, to keep everyone happy while sacrificing your peace. Have you ever felt like you're walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting yourself to make others feel comfortable? Or like you're expected to change your decisions, your choices, just to avoid disappointing someone else? The truth is, when you do this, you're not living your life, you're living theirs. And the price you pay for this is your emotional health. Jung believed that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not on one person continually sacrificing their peace for the other. And that's where setting boundaries becomes so important. If someone asks you to do something that compromises your happiness or peace of mind, it's not just okay to say no, it's necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you constantly prioritize others' emotions over your own, you may start to feel like you're losing yourself. It's as though you're living for everyone else's comfort and happiness, while your own needs and desires are pushed aside. And while you might think you're being kind or selfless, in reality, you're sacrificing the very thing that sustains you, your inner peace. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about being wise enough to understand that your peace of mind is not negotiable. You don't have to carry the weight of others' emotions or fix their problems. You don't have to mold yourself into someone else's idea of who you should be just to avoid their discomfort. The truth is, you can't keep compromising your own happiness for the sake of others. Every time you say yes to something that undermines your peace, you're making a small sacrifice of yourself. And those small sacrifices add up over time. Eventually, you'll find yourself drained, emotionally and mentally exhausted, and disconnected from the person you truly are. You're not a tool for others to use when it's convenient, nor are you a permanent solution to their problems. It's time to set those boundaries and protect what you've worked so hard to build. Your peace, your happiness, your sense of self. Life is too short to keep carrying burdens that aren't yours to bear. The more you say no to what doesn't serve you, the more space you create for what truly brings you joy and fulfillment. There comes a point in life when you have to ask yourself, what is truly worth my time and energy? If you constantly give without ever taking the time to care for yourself, you'll find that what you're left with is not joy, but a sense of emptiness. You'll find that no matter how much you give, it's never enough to satisfy those who take from you. And in the process, you lose pieces of yourself. The more you allow others to drain you, the more you give away your energy, your time, and even your peace. It might feel like you're doing the right thing, but the truth is, you're depleting yourself in the process. And eventually, there will be nothing left to give. This isn't a sustainable way of living. You might be afraid that if you say no, you'll hurt someone's feelings or disappoint them. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. You are not responsible for making everyone happy at the expense of your own well-being. Life is too precious to spend it trying to fix what's broken in others without taking the time to fix what's broken in yourself. Imagine a life where you choose to protect your peace, where you say no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. That's the life you deserve. And it starts with setting boundaries, with saying no, with finally choosing yourself. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the more you give, the more people will appreciate you, or that your worth is tied to your ability to serve others. But here's the reality. People will only value what you have to offer when you value yourself first. When you set boundaries, when you refuse to be someone's emotional crutch, that's when you show the world that your peace is not negotiable. The hardest part is often saying no when it feels like you're letting others down. But remember, saying no is not about rejecting others. It's about protecting your well-being. It's about honoring your own needs and giving yourself the time and space to heal, rest, and recharge. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep allowing others to take from you without replenishing yourself, eventually you will have nothing left to give. Think about it. What would happen if you took a step back and allowed others to stand on their own? What if you allowed them to solve their own problems without you constantly swooping in to save the day? You'd not only protect your own peace, but you'd also give them the opportunity to grow and take responsibility for their own lives. By saying no, you're not abandoning them. You're teaching them to respect your boundaries, to value your time, and to take responsibility for their own actions. And in doing so, You're also honoring your own life and your right to live on your own terms. Life is too short to be stuck in a cycle of constantly putting others before yourself. There will always be people who need something from you, but you have to recognize that your life is your own and it should be lived according to your own needs and desires. You spent years working hard, building your life, and finding peace. It's time to protect that peace, not sacrifice it. It's normal to want to help others, but there comes a time when you need to ask yourself, is this helping me or is it draining me? Is it worth the emotional toll it's taking on me? The truth is, you deserve a life that is fulfilling, not one that is constantly being interrupted by others' demands. Letting go of guilt is one of the hardest steps in this process. We've been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish, that we should always be there for others, no matter the cost. But this mindset only leads to exhaustion and burnout. You cannot continue to sacrifice yourself for others without paying the price in your own happiness. Remember, you don't have to be everyone's solution. You don't have to be the one who fixes everything, carries all the weight, and makes everyone else comfortable. Your peace of mind is priceless, and you must learn to protect it fiercely. If someone can't respect your boundaries, then they don't deserve to have access to your energy. When you finally start setting boundaries and saying no, you'll realize something important. The world doesn't fall apart just because you chose to put yourself first. In fact, it often falls into place. People who truly respect you will understand, and they will either find their own way or they'll respect the space you've given them. It's the people who don't respect your boundaries that you need to distance yourself from. You can't continue to let others' chaos dictate the course of your life. No one has a right to drain you, to take up all your time, or to place unrealistic expectations on you. Life is yours to live, and it's time you started living it for you. The more you honor your boundaries, the more you will feel at peace and in control of your own destiny. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. It shows that you value yourself enough to protect your peace. And anyone who can't respect that doesn't deserve a place in your life. It's as simple as that. You've worked hard to create the life you have, and no one has a right to take that from you. You deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor, to live with joy, and to be surrounded by people who support you, not drain you. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the fear. Let go of the belief that you have to be everything for everyone. It's time to choose you. At this stage in life, you've earned the right to protect your peace. You've been through enough challenges, hardships, and sacrifices. It's time to stop letting others take from you without giving anything back. The truth is, no one can appreciate what you have to offer if you don't first appreciate yourself and protect your boundaries. If you keep allowing others to take, you will only find yourself drained and disconnected from who you really are. It's important to remember that life isn't about being constantly available for others at the expense of your own well-being. Yes, helping others is important, but at what cost? If it's taking away from your peace and happiness, then it's no longer serving you or them. People may be disappointed when you say no, but that's their issue, not yours. You are not here to fix everyone's problems. You are here to live your life fully, to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and to protect the peace you fought so hard for. The longer you let others walk all over your boundaries, the harder it will be to reclaim your peace. But once you make a decision to take control of your life and set those boundaries, you will find a freedom you haven't felt in years. Your life will be your own again. You will no longer be weighed down by the demands of others. You will have the time and space to focus on what truly matters to you. And that's the kind of life you deserve. When you begin to protect your emotional balance, when you set boundaries and stop allowing others to dictate your life, you open new horizons for yourself. Finding peace and inner balance is the most valuable thing you can do for yourself. And that peace will become the foundation for your next steps. You'll be able to enjoy life again without it revolving around others' problems. This isn't about refusing to help others. It's about learning to help when it doesn't harm you and knowing when it's important to stop. The point isn't to be cold or detached, but to be wise and take care of your emotional health. When you set your boundaries, it's also a signal to those around you. They'll begin to understand that your resources are limited, and they will treat you with respect. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You have a right to your space, your dreams, and the time that belongs only to you. And most importantly, you have a right to peace. Your life is your choice, and you deserve to live it the way you want to, without unnecessary sacrifices, without guilt for your boundaries. Live, restore yourself, and give this peace to those who truly deserve it. Yourself. You've already done so much, and now it's time to do what really matters. Find your peace and live your life, free from pressure, free from guilt, and in harmony with yourself. This is your time.